My name is Sheikh Rafi Ahmed. I'm 82 years old now, and I was born in Bangladesh. At that time, it was a part of Pakistan called East Pakistan. Now it's Bangladesh, in a district quite famous called Mymensingh for literary purposes, and in a district, Kisharganj, which is also very famous, where just by the side of the building that we lived the famous writer who wrote the autobiography of India, Nirud Chakraborty, who was at Oxford. He lived in Oxford as well. My life in the then East Pakistan, called in Bangladesh, it was in a village. Because my father was a government medical officer, and she had a transferable job, so he had to move from one place to another hospital to another hospital. So we lived in different villages. The life at that time in Bangladesh was so glorious, so amazing, so dreamlike that I miss it every moment, even now. And I have written quite a few articles about my life in that time, and I'm also writing a book about my life in village in Bangladesh. But it was a land where that there is nothing odd about anything. We used to move around everywhere. The village, everybody knew each other. There was no animosity. The people were friendly. All the people of different religion, Hindu, Muslim, we used to go to each other's festivals, functions, and activity. And I remember it so much that I sometimes feel these days has gone. So I'm trying to go and write it down, my feeling about those days in my new book. Well, my father, being a medical doctor and educated man, he was a big ambition for me. Although we are not that very rich, but my father was well off enough to send me in a college in Dhaka called Notre Dame College, which is only a prerogative for the rich and famous people's children. But my father managed to send me there. And I used to live in a hostel called the Baptist Mission Hostel. These are all expensive, and also for the people who are mostly lived in Dhaka, where the city center, there are English medium schools. And in the college that I went for my intermediate science, it's called the Notre Dame College. It's run by the American Catholics and some British students. And this hostel that I lived in was run by a British priest called Dr. Bark, and it was in Dhaka. And it was a traumatic experience for me. There are quite other people, they couldn't stay there because most of the students there spoke in English, and they've got different culture. So they didn't get on with the people who sometimes came from British people, but in the village side, because they haven't got this experience of speaking in English. And another fact is that I sometimes find it very difficult to understand the English they speak. But I stayed on and hanged on because with a determination, and I managed to go through the college life here. And then I was a very literary man. I always write books and stories and everything, and I got quite various awards for storytelling, story writing in my university life. So I wanted to study literature, but my father's friend and his son, he was in the college, and he came and gave me advice that by studying literature, you will become a poet or a writer, but you will not be rich. And you have got 5 other siblings, and your father is not that very well, and you have to take the yoke in the life of your family. So you got to do something where you've got a good job, and you've got. So eventually, I decided to study physics, not the literature, but literature was my hobby. Most of my friends, though most of them have gone now, they were very famous writer in Bangladesh. So I didn't have a few friends who did study physics later on, but so I studied physics, and that enabled me to get a scholarship when Pakistani government allowed some people from East Pakistan to get a scholarship, and I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to come to study Oxford for my doctoral thesis. I was so engrossed and so much involved with the literature that I wanted to become something like Tagore or Nazrul or a famous writer, so that posterity will know me through my literature, like Nirudh Chaudhary, the Indian writer, who is quite famous, and he comes from my own town together. But it didn't happen. Instead, I became a reluctant scientist, and thank God for that. The whole episode is so dramatic in my case and in my environment, because I'm a person who is a get-going, who like doing things, gregarious, friendly, and adventurous. So everything was an adventure. My coming to Oxford, I have elaborated it in my book called The Oxford Revisited. It gives the details about my experience, first experience coming to this country, and it's sometimes eye-opening and sometimes hilarious, because we didn't know the culture, what to expect in this country. So when we came to this country, we were taken to the British Council offices to give a training of British culture, British life, British etiquette. But one cannot learn all these things in 2 days training course, how to use life in folk, how to talk to English people, And the very thing of saying thank you for everything was an anathema to us, because we don't take thank you to everything in Bangladesh, because we take cordiality for granted. Because if you say do any good to me, I'll do good to you. This is our thank you. But this is not normally officially you say thank you, but normally every time you go to the shop inviting thank you, and everything you have to do please. We don't do this thing. But then in Oxford, I had a lot of struggle for the languages, because they're all written down in my book called Oxford Revisited. I mean, it said that when I went to meet my supervisor, and he said, "Oh, I shouldn't wear a suit if I were you on the summertime." I said, "Why did he say I wear not suit? Because I'm not him." And then he said, "If I were you." But we don't say things like that. So I had to have a lot of struggle learning the rope, trying to know the language, and get involved with the British English society. Because otherwise, with the Bangladeshi or Pakistani society, I'm perfectly all right. I immediately became the secretary of the Pakistani society in Oxford. And we used to have a great function, a good outing, and I used to get involved in these sort of things. So quite well known. Main thing when I was getting a formal meetings or things, like for example with my supervisor, and like that, and we, as a student, we didn't encounter much of the animosity from the thugs for being Asian. But when I used to come back from my laboratory, and these thugs used to come back from the pub, and they used to see me and said, Pakis, go back home. And I used to say, all right, I'm going back home now. But they meant going back to Bangladesh, these sort of things. And my supervisor used to say, he just joked me, are you going to a funeral? Because I used to meet him, because nobody wears suits at that time. I said, no, why did you say that? Do you do a funeral service here at the college as well? Because, and then he said, no, it's, you have to dress informally when you come come to, and don't tell me, tell me, sir, tell me my name. I said, name? How could I tell you your name? You're my supervisor, you're my teacher. And also that your name is Donald Wash. And Donald is the name of a duck. And I can't call you this name. And he laughed. He decided that we got different sorts of humor. But anyway, these sort of things got on. The other joke was, my landlady, I should live in a small bed and breakfast. My lady used to bring me food. And then one day she invited me to have tea with her. And then I went there, and then she's talking. Her daughter was saying the E60s flowery dress. And I told her, oh, you look like my grandmother. And she became very angry. Grandmother? Why? I said, my grandmother has got white hairs like that. And he became really angry. He said, it's not white, Mr. Ahmad. It's called blonde. B-L-O-N-D, blonde. And I realized that I had compared her with my grandmother, not even my mother. And she was, in this country, you don't say people you are old, young people. These sort of things happen. Oh God. But eventually, I learned the rope, and I got involved and into the main society. And also I kept on my group with the Pakistani society until the independence came in, and then we became different. At that time, the civil war started. The Pakistani military junta led the Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who won the overall election, get into the power. They became the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So the people started to rebel, and then the civil war started there too. And my family got involved in the civil war. My father, mother, my brother-in-law was in Pakistan. He was a major, and he was sent to America to training. And when in the way back, he came to see me in Oxford with my sister. And then he also went involved. My sister was sent to India, and my brothers were fighting and involved. And they arrested my parents to pressure them to find out where my brother-in-law was. He was in the army, and he took a couple of his friends and escaped from Pakistan and joined the civil war in Tura, through Indian border. So I couldn't go back. So the government, the university gave me a fellowship for 1 year. So because I finished my PhD and my grant finished, so I was stranded with no money. So the university gave me a fellowship, so that gave me a financial stability. I stayed on, and then I was courting my wife at that time, who I'm married to for 54 years now. I'm very, my country, I love my country, Bangladesh and everything. And I committed to, because I felt I'm guilty if I don't go back. They sent me to England to learn a trade, and I got to go and serve my country, pay back my debt. So I didn't, I took a job at the Ministry of Defense in Swindon College as a scientist, a junior scientist. And then I became promoted to higher scientist, and I was given a lot of responsibility to going to various countries to meet people, scientific collaborations, research program, and then I was not allowed to go into the classified material. So after 10 years, I even didn't buy any furniture, because I thought there's no point, because I'm going back. And then they pressured me to take the British nationality because I had to go involved in the classified material. And also, I was finding difficult to get the visa. Every time I had to go abroad, France, for example, I had to take a visa. But with the British passport, I wouldn't need any visa almost anywhere. So eventually, I took a British passport after 10 years. And then the children started to come along, and then life became so unpredictable, so I couldn't go back. My father said, "No, you stay there, and come to see us time to time, and if you can, support financially." So I stayed on. First of all, they were very upset because they used to film those people who have married English people and gone back, and they can get on and everything, and they made films. My father and mother said film. So my brother-in-law, who came to see me, and his brother, who also escaped from Saudi Arabia to join this, also came to see me. They met my wife, and they went and told my father that this young lady is different from the people you see in the film or other people. So it's a completely different kettle of fish, completely different kettle of fish. And after persuasion, my father agreed. And then when the Civil War finished, we went there. And my father and mother adored her much, much more than their daughters. And my wife has looked after after the demise of my father, looked after my mother. 3 times I brought her after cancer treatment. One time she stayed 1 year. She looked after her, cook all these small Bangladeshi fishes and everything. And at one time, my sister came in, and I was in Japan as a conference, and she looked after her and took her to Gloucester for a month for treatment. And my other sister came in to go to Oxford. My mother came 3 times, and my brother came to stay with me, and he looked after her, and he studied here and became an accountant and gone back. So overall, it is I must say, a success story, and I thank Allah for everything. Surprisingly, I haven't changed an iota, but my wife has changed everything. She has lost her identity, English identity. She cooks Bangladeshi food 2 times a day, and eats Bangladeshi food, and entertain and mix up with Bangladeshi, goes to all the Bangladeshi functions. So she has learned Bengali a little bit, and she can get by. And my children also accepted this thing. So it's a different story. I feel like I am now a British Bangladeshi. Like a coconut, you might say, the people say. Outside black, but inside a little bit white. Unlike my Bangladeshi compatriot, which I am more or less the community elder or a leader of the Bangladeshi community here. They take my advice, everything, invite me any functions, everything. I have done quite a lot for the community here, quite a lot. I cannot tell you in one session all these things to do. I started a society called the Asian Center, all the Asian, because every group was different here. And so Dr. Sheikh, Dr. Indrajit Singh, who passed away, and Dr. Nath, there's another one, Dr. Popley, who has passed away, and quite a lot of people. We got together and formed a society called the Asian Center. So they made me secretary of the center, the association, and Dr. Nath was the president. So we tried to gather. The council is to get bent over to help us. They gave us a big place. It's called Plus One Center before. Then we made it into an Asian Center. Every week, Saturday, Sunday, we used to get together. We had Hindi classes, Bengali classes, dance classes, music classes, and talk session. We could get together. Any events, celebration, we used to do that here. And we were all together, all by Hindu, Muslim, Sikh. It was dominated by Sikh people at the time. I am still in connection with some of the people who were involved in it, English people who are involved. He wants to come here. So they then, after Nath decided they can't do anymore, so they made me the president of the society. And I was the president for about 12 years. And I don't know about more than that, 20 years, because until it fizzled out, people became independent. Indian people started to make an Indian center, good, and Dr. Singh came out of the main and started his own Gurdwara in another center. So everything fell apart. We started a group called Interfaith Group. So we used to meet there, talk about different issues, what brings us together and what should bring us together. After all, not only we are the diaspora in English society, we have got something common, whether you're Indian, Pakistani or Bangladeshi. There are certain things bind us together. There are certain issues. We may be different in our faith and everything, but we are all coconut trying to be. So there's a lot of things that we have done. We have go to Bengali school. There were 40, 50 students, and then we had to let them go to take A-level in Bengali, and the cultural activities like singing, dancing, and everything, done lessons.
Did you do anything with the mosque in Swindon?
Yes, and I also got involved in the mosque because I was there, and they made me the trustee of the mosque, a small little mosque, and my son, we used to come and help in the mosque. We didn't have much money those days. We used to do our own jobs, painting, decorating, and everything. This is in the Manchester Road. No, it was in the Broad Street to start with when I was there. 76. So, and I was trustee and one of the main. So there used to be quarrel between these things, and I used to go there, and they used to come to my house, and they used to quarrel about things, and they used to fight, fist fight, hand fight, and all big dear fighting and swearing at each other, and I used to come down. One day somebody was pushed, and I was called in, and I went there early in the morning, and I became so furious. Why should they do these things like a children? So eventually they moved out and made a better place in the Broad Street, and I'm still a trustee to sign, but I have moved out and I don't get involved in the running of the mosque anymore, because even then they became divided, and one group has started another mosque in the Gorsale, quite a big one. I've got faith, but I've read so much that I have got a lot of questions about religion as such. I like to practice. I believe in the existence of a prime mover, God, everything. I have got a society they call the Philosophical Society. I am one of the main members there, and we talk about this issue, the faith and interfaith, and how it is. And I'm being a scientist, I have to compromise between my science and religion, you see. So there are a lot of things I cannot accept, but that doesn't mean I will protect or prohibit other people not to accept it. Everybody is to their own device and own issue and own understanding, and everybody takes it according to their own background, own education system. Religion is something that's a medicine which no other medicine cure it, and is the ultimate medicine, and you got to take it if you want to cure yourself. But sometimes, as a thinking man, I cannot take everything literally what this says. But I respect every religion. I think every religion speaks about good things, about this. But people, I don't know, it's innate to their nature. They try to exploit religion to their own belief, own system, own background, which I don't like and I do not agree. That's what I'm. I got faith, but I'm not that practicing. Life is to give and take, and not expect that you always have to give. You have to take, you have to listen and understand other people. That is one of the main things that I've learned from life, that if you want to earn respect, you have to respect others. If you want to love, you have to love other people. And not to be judged or live on your opinion and priority. You respect other people's opinion as well. The world is a very different situation than it used to be that I know of. Humanity as such is taking a second place than personal gain, business, and prosperity. So I want to see the humanity going back, love and care for each other, and bring back the old values that we cherished before, for the good of the humanity, not for individual.